She gives everybody a chance. You know, she doesn't judge a book by its cover until like they give her a reason. And that's very me. I give everyone a chance until they give me a reason to treat them like the dickhead that they are.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. Today I'm going to be speaking to the immensely talented Samantha Béart, everyone's favourite tiefling, Karlach in Baldur's Gate 3. Hope you enjoy. Can you tell us about your early life and what drew you into acting and performance?
How long have you got?
Oh, we've got. What does it say? It usually says there. We've got 3 hours.
Excellent. Okay. All right. We'll just have enough time.
Okay.
So no, I was a shy kid, but I always loved stories. So that's really the long shot. I was allowed to do many non-expensive hobbies. I wasn't from a family that would obviously finance my dreams of being a tennis star. Okay. Or, you know, an equestrian or anything like that. But anything else, like my mum would just take me out to do. So I tried all these different things. But I was horribly shy. And one of the recommended things was acting classes, which I hated because I didn't really understand what's going on. I couldn't really see what was happening. It was just precocious 8-year-olds screaming at each other, which I didn't really enjoy those times. But singing and dancing, I could understand because you can see it or you can hear it. And it took me a very long time to enjoy participating in that medium. So cut forward to university years, I was studying literature and going to a lot of Shakespeare in London because there's a lot of Shakespeare in London. And then I went, oh, right, now I get it. And just seeing these stories lifted off the page and all these different ways of producing the same play and making it different, setting at different times in different countries with different connotations as to themes and all of this stuff. And I was like, okay, so I'm more deeply affected by storytelling on this level. And then there's the whole, the fact that coming from a Catholic background, the one emotion I was allowed to have was anger and sort of nothing else. So it was a safe space for me to explore emotions that I wasn't normally allowed to have or were dangerous to have. So yeah, that is just for me. I'm an introvert. I do this just for me. But I do love storytelling and I love that sort of two-way communication we have with audiences, particularly in the interactive space.
It's interesting you say about, like, it's not necessarily about a new story, it's about the same story, but the way it's told. Because that was like the classical world, right? Like Greeks, ancient Greeks weren't expecting.
And we still retell those stories over and over again. We reboot everything, although I think that's got to do more with money and Hollywood.
I think you lose your shares if you don't remake a Batman.
I think so. I think you have no new stories. But yeah, even in the new stories, they're still repeating old myths because then that comes down to, like, why are we telling stories? What is the point of them? And I feel that goes beyond entertainment.
Thanks for watching the Ready Aim Fire podcast. If you're enjoying what we do, please don't forget to like and subscribe. If you're already subscribed, then don't forget to share the love with your friends and family. Your support means everything to us, and it means that we can keep bringing you the inside stories behind your favourite games. Thanks, guys. See you on the next episode. You trained at Guildhall, I believe?
I did.
So what were sort of the pivotal moments in your training that prepared you for, like, voice and motion capture work?
Well, ironically, nothing did, because that's the two areas I didn't really go for. But I'd done my first professional job, which did make me want to train because I knew nothing, was I played Random Dent in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and everyone in the room was famous. Like, that's how they did it. So she's in Mostly Harmless. That was being adapted by Dirk Maggs for BBC Radio 4, like, around 2005. And I just, it wasn't even imposter syndrome, because that suggests that I'm an expert in my field but don't really believe it. But I got lucky and thought, I never want to feel this out of place again. And that's how I got into training. So that was interesting times because I trained all these types of theatre. Then you've got all the physical forms like Masque, Comédie dell'arte, Le Coq from France, all of that sort of stuff. Then you get out the other end and they go, can't tell what you look like, can't tell where you're from.
Right.
And you go, okay, does that matter? And they go, yeah. And I go, what about playing a Londoner? No, they don't look like you. And I go, right, okay. So I go, well, I'm Jamaican Irish. Okay. Don't look like it to me. The gatekeeper, I'm like, right, okay, well, I'm a true mixed nut, okay. So I found myself back in audio mediums. And, like I said, as long as I can tell that story, I don't really care what the medium is. The problem is you do have to be seen. Like, that's part of the promotional side. So channeling a lot of what I'd learned from drama school into voice. So we did a little bit for radio, that sort of thing. And I had done this really quite well-known piece of comedy for Radio 4, which we also took on tour when you did see me, but that made no difference whatsoever to the casting people. And then I believe it was Toby Longworth who introduced me to Big Finish. He's a really quite amazing performer, and he was like, you're a nerdy chick, they need nerdy chicks, go and do that for a bit. So I played a lot of tough chicks in space.
Okay.
And then, like, the sort of, there were a lot of things that got me into games, but really the moment was the Jennifer Hale Mass Effect 2 and going, oh right, okay, yeah, I got it now, I can see myself doing this. So that was a win. Very long and around the park.
Well, we interviewed Jennifer Hale a couple of weeks ago. She was amazing. A true icon.
Yeah.
I'm a massive
She was a
fan.
question on University Challenge the other day. There was a whole round, actually. About Jennifer Hale. And I've never seen that before.
That's amazing.
They barely have rounds on games. And to get one on a games actor, so interesting.
Yeah, I mean, she's done so much, and we only had half an hour of her, so it's a little bit of a shorter episode, but it was so much fun to talk to her. So, speaking in particular about Jennifer Hale's performance as Commander Shepard, is there anything in that performance that really stuck out to you and sort of inspired you?
Yeah, so unlike Baldur's Gate 3, where we got to vocally take it to extremes, she doesn't get to do that. It's even though there's branching narrative and you can play Paragon or Renegade, that doesn't colour like she didn't have to do a whole Renegade version of the same lines and a Paragon version. So it's actually quite a neutral performance, but it works. And like, I guess there's 3 archetypes you can apply in your head, right? So it goes from like street rat to Nepo baby of the military, and that's all contained in this one form of delivery. And I think it's genius. I don't know how I do it myself, because having come up through point and clicks, you always have very strong opinions about everything in the world, or I do anyway. That's certainly the sort of point and clicks I enjoyed, like Gabriel Knight and Broken Sword. Like, they're sassy, aren't they? But Commander Shepard is sassy, but she can be very virtuous sassy or a nightmare sassy monster. So I think she just did incredibly well with that.
So she almost like sort of painted a canvas for you to project your version of the character on top of.
Yeah, I mean, I do. It sounds weird, but I do think of Ryan Gosling in Drive. It's a very neutral performance in which you kind of read his mind, and you go, "Oh, he's thinking this, isn't he?" Right? He is, and it's a great performance and it works. But you don't often see that.
I always think of the scene in Drive where he points his finger like a gun at the guy, and it's like, is that him? Like restraining himself, or is that him winding him up, or is that him warning him?
There we go.
There's real nuance. Yeah. You're a gamer yourself, right? So like most of the actors we speak to actually aren't really into gaming, but you are. What are some of your favourite games other than Mass Effect, obviously?
Gosh, love the early Assassin's Creed games. Going back to where we started, I think Ezio was like discovering a new Shakespearean character, and also playing that in Italian sometimes was just really immersive. I loved that. I just thought that was the beginning of that, what we're now in quite a sophisticated narrative era, which is great for actors. I'm trying to think of things that involve like performance, but I love Disco Elysium, in which of course the main protagonist is silent, but you've got all these other voices in Harry's head. I love the Zelda games. I'm trying to think of anything more recent, but I guess I like first person adventure games most of the time.
My wife really likes the Zelda games. I just find them so frustrating because I'm not good at all like fiddly stuff, but you have to combine all the different.
How do you get on with the Souls games?
Okay.
Those are easier than Zelda, is that what we're saying?
I think they are.
Is it because you have to play musical instruments?
That, yeah, like the ocarina or whatever it was. No, I think it's because, one, I like grimdark stuff.
Not Zelda. Oh, but Twilight Princess, from there, a bit more, but no, it's not, is it?
No,
not
it's a bit too, like, for lack of a better word, Nintendo. We can bleep out Nintendo in case we ever have someone from Nintendo on. But no, I think it's just that, for me, the Dark Souls games are honest.
Yeah.
They're not that the Zelda games aren't, but like they're brutally difficult sometimes. Like it took me 2 years to beat Malekith, the Black Blade.
Okay, I have questions, but we don't have time.
We do have time. But yeah, that was a long and painful process. I still haven't beaten Shadow of the Erdtree. What I tend to do with any Soulsborne game is I'll buy it straight away. I'll play it relentlessly until I hit a brick wall, and then I'll put it down and forget it ever
For me, that's very early on.
Right.
But you know that I was in the Demon's Souls remake?
Yes. Yeah.
Female voice B, I've been told by my partner.
Okay.
Which was a moment of
Is that just, that's just grunts and barks though, right?
Yeah, so Johnny Chiodini contacted me and went, which one are you? And I went, I can't tell my partner. I went, you're B, love. I went, okay. All right, that was humiliating. So.
We had Deborah in one of our, I think she was our first episode.
Yeah.
And she said that she's had fans be like, you're in this game. She's like, no, I'm not. And then she plays and she's like, oh, I am.
Oh, no. This is why we need to play more of our own games.
Yeah, exactly,
and also have like, maybe our relationship doesn't end when we walk out of the recording studio. Yeah. Like keep in touch with your actors and stuff. Yeah. Or have fun for her.
Yeah, well, I spotted her in Space Marine 2.
Nice.
As like one of the holo recordings.
No way.
And I was just like, I know that voice. And just because I just recorded with her. But
that's better than it not being you and going, I have to find this person and kill them, because the doppelganger effect is very real. Ready up for the boss fight? We're taking on mental ill health, and Safe in Our World needs your help. Within the world of games, we find connection, friendship, family. Within our favorite stories, we find purpose, inspiration, and a mission. And our mission as a mental health charity is to support the games industry and global gaming communities with vital signposting, training, and toolkits to level up your well-being at work and online. There's a hub of support at your fingertips. So whether you need a res or a mental health resource, visit safeinourworld.org and play safe.
So you said you're of Irish and Jamaican heritage.
Yes.
What has that brought to your performance and your career?
Anger.
Sheer
Pure
anger.
unbridled rage. Well, ironically, of course, the first thing they kick out of you at the drama school is that, because it's the first thing we go to. It's not always that dramatically interesting. But then my most famous character is kind of quite angry. I like to think. I don't know about you, but...
Pretty
yeah,
angry.
it was, but we speak truth to power. They're both nations that have got their independence from the British.
Mm-hmm. Sorry about that.
That's all right. It's fine. It's fine.
It's all war
But
under
yeah,
the bridge
I'm definitely
now.
a child of empire. I wouldn't exist if my parents didn't go, let's see the motherland.
Yeah. So before your breakout in games, you worked across various mediums. So what appealed to you about game performance specifically, as opposed to like theatre or film or television?
That they'd employ me.
Right.
We've established that they had a little bit of a thing going on. I did do Fringe theatre for quite a while, but you're putting your own money in. You're rehearsing as much as you would for the RSC. You're not getting paid. So essentially you're investing in that, in the time of the production, which will only be a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
You'll have had longer to rehearse, on the proviso that maybe a casting director might turn up. So it's quite a gamble, and it's a very expensive one. And it just got to a point where I just couldn't do it anymore. And so I became a software engineer, because I was going, I'm not making any money out of this, as you do. But it was like I'd exhausted every out of work actor job. I'd done all the minimum wage jobs, which, over time were being paid the same, with everything around it going up in price. So it was a very practical decision. What's funny is, of course, now you get asked constantly about AI. I would say number one job at Threat is the software engineer. They've kind of coded themselves out of careers. So.
Yeah.
And it's coming for everyone, right? So it's just interesting. The actors always get asked about it when you go, oh no, this affects everyone.
I'm going to cross that question.
Yeah, please do.
But it's interesting that AI is coming for the jobs that it wasn't supposed to come for. It's like it's supposed to do like...
I mean, who's paying for it?
Well...
Their aim is to keep more of that money for themselves.
Very true.
So really that's kind of it, really.
It's quite terrifying.
And I would like it to do my dishes and tax returns and things like that.
I was expecting like robo cleaner, robo paint the house, but no, it's going to robo steal your dreams. So.
Steal your dreams and your soul.
Yeah, exactly. So when you're at the Fringe, what kind of venue are you at? Because I know sometimes you can be in like a nice old theatre, but sometimes you're in like a pub.
Yeah, a lot of it was room above a pub, and some of it's theatre, really, a bit of everything. Anywhere that would have us, anywhere that we could rent for cheap. But I'm really proud of those productions, because a lot of those directors were either up and coming assistant directors, or they were just on the verge of getting that big West End debut. Yeah. So the quality's the same. It's just a case of, marketing costs money, so that becomes difficult.
First things where you doing all your own marketing as well, and like running around the streets like a mad thing.
That's more Edinburgh. Which I was never rich enough to go to.
Oh, right, okay.
No, I was. I mean, that's hundreds of plays that you're in competition with, and living out of a van in a not even an Airbnb anymore, like just in someone's garden. No, it's become like so expensive. I know some really successful comedians, and they will break even and call that a success. So that I just do the maths and go, no, I'm all right.
I'm all right, thanks. I'm going to
go on holiday.
I'm going to build an AI at Evermind instead.
I didn't say that, but sure.
That's what I'm inferred. When you first heard about the role of Karlach, what was your immediate reaction? Am I right in thinking that you were actually reading for like some NPCs and then sort of...
Well, we all read for like creatures
back
in 2020, and then I auditioned for a character called Keira, who was really quite similar to Lae'zel, let's say. So I think that's why that didn't happen. I didn't get that. Someone else got that for the early access. And then a couple of years later, Keira came back with a different biography and all sorts. And I just thought she was a total badass, really.
Yeah.
Like, we don't get to pick who we play. We don't get a list most of the time. And even then, if you audition for more than one, they get to choose. So it's real luck of the draw stuff. She's just this badass. And they gave me like a short biography. So everything was in there. It was just about fleshing out over 260 hours of mocap.
What's the main things that you take into a mocap session as an actor? Because obviously I know it's long, and it's not like you're surrounded by a set. You're surrounded by people in grey or black suits and with dots and things. So
we didn't even have people in grey and black suits. We were solo, so great, yeah. But that's black box theatre. You know, you go and you deliver a monologue, and through that and talking to the audience and maybe a bit of lights and music. That's the only difference. You get lights and music and maybe a costume. There's not much difference to that really low budget theatre that I was doing, or as part of my training as well, or some directors choose to present something that's very pared back anyway. So all of that really helped. There was a discipline to it in which I'd have to start in a physically neutral stance and go back to it at the end of each line.
Like a T-pose kind of thing?
No, it was actually more like there was like a gearbox on the floor, and mine was the widest you could get. She's so big, right? Okay. So I'd stand on 3 and a 3, let's put it that way, and start literally just hands by my side. So T-pose would be for the beginning of the take, which would be about 20 minutes long, and then within that 20 minutes you can do anything you like. But because each line has to be stitched together, because you rarely got monologues on it, there may be one of 4 responses. They have to be able to stitch it together visibly without you getting stuck midair. Right. Or having to pull it back because you got quite angry, but now you're not anymore because you've been talked down. So all of that has to be justified. That was the hardest bit. But once I had that, after a few sessions, it was okay. But, hilariously, do a big monologue, completely forget to go back. Everyone in the booth is going, and you think, yes, I was amazing. And they go, no! And you're like, oh, okay, I got to do that again.
When you're playing a character with the physicality of Karlach, which is obviously not possible to have in the real, because she's 7 foot tall, I believe.
About, yeah.
How much physical training do you do? How much do you worry about the sort of choreographic nature of that performance?
So like I said, it was because we're starting from a neutral position, it's a bit more static, and it's kind of filmed from the knees up. For those, if you remember the scenes in the game, they are kind of filmed mid shots, right? So we had what they call performance directors, but in theatre we call a movement director. They were exactly the same people that came, because it's not a specialisation yet. And they use whatever techniques would work with you. So for me, it was Laban. And Laban was I guess he was a choreographer. I think he was a dancer, but he certainly came up with a system of quality of movement. You can look it up. It's called Laban Efforts, and it's on a grid. Okay. And he's literally that. So it's whether the movement is sustained or it's directionless, heavy or light. And all those, there's another one that all comes together and you get your quality. So for Karlach, it was pressing. Okay. And as long as I remember to be heavy and slow, it kind of worked. So she can't flap around too much because it looks really scary. A huge model like that. So it was really that. There was no training involved. It was just picking that shape and inhabiting it. If that makes sense. That's
really interesting. But her idol animation is a lot of dancing, isn't it?
Not me.
So you weren't
aware. The animator.
You weren't aware. Was that?
I was not even asked to do that.
Right. Would you have done it though?
Yeah, I mean, it would have been awful. She might have pogoed around the place a bit more. She's a bit modern for my liking. But no, I believe Tamara in the Ghent studio animated that.
And what about the teddy bear?
There's no dialogue about it, is there?
Right, no.
That's the clue. No one ever mentions it.
It's just a nice little surprise that you have to deal with from people like me asking you questions about it.
That's why it's good to play your own games, kids. Yes. Otherwise you get very curious. What's Clive from Final Fantasy 16 got to do with it? What are you talking about?
Who else did you have to collaborate with to bring Karlach to life? So obviously there's directors, voice directors, mocap technicians, movement or performance directors, you said. Are you having like regular meetings, or is it basically you turn up? No.
Bless
that
you.
would be nice.
That would be nice, and more like, film and TV and theatre. But it's something we're trying to get through because it saves a lot of time. It saves a lot of time down the pipeline, getting that reaction back that maybe that chemistry isn't there or something's off. Like if you get that instantly in the room with everyone, then you know quickly what you need to do about it. It would have been 2 engineers, so you got the voice and mocap engineer, and then the same with the directors in terms of how I worked. And then we had a Slack to Larry, and so we'd go, is that a typo? Am I really saying that? Okay, I've got to justify that now. Or this is amazing, all that sort of stuff. And that's as far as my personal involvement with other crew. So I know then it went on a journey for cinematics, animation, testing, all of those good things, polishing up or the sound and the visuals. I have nothing to do with those things, but a huge group of people that did and made me look good.
What, in your view, makes Karlach specifically stand out from the rest of the companions that Tav can play with?
Not an edgelord. On fire.
Yep.
Quite angry. But a sweetie, really. Red button Fringe. Good aligned. A lot of them aren't, or they're neutral. The way I saw it is that she had a second chance. That was my little secret, is that she'd been a bit of a nightmare in hell, because you'd have to be, right, to get on. You're not going to be going around doing good at all. But I sort of gave it a prison analogy, because really I could relate to that rather than, you lived in hell for 10 years and didn't die, that I couldn't do that. But the idea that maybe you got out early and you're getting this second chance, what are you going to do with that time? And then realising that she's on borrowed time in this new world where the heart's not working so well. How does that affect things? And she just becomes this sort of carpe diem, like, I'm going to live quality. You know, if there's not quantity, I'm going to make sure that this is worth something. And what a message. What an interesting thing to ponder when you're playing a video game. So she's really powerful, like mythologically very powerful.
I think there's a wonderful tragedy to her as a character because, as you say, like she is sort of fun and stuff like that. But as you peel back more and more layers, you realise there's
PTSD.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I met a lot of military folk who see themselves in her, who will be cracking jokes because that's the way you get through this stuff. To people with terminal illnesses, you say that that's been a comfort character, which you don't go in thinking that's going to happen. You just play them as true as you can, and it all made sense. But that's incredible to be able to do that for people.
What part of her character do you personally identify with, other than the rage?
All the cool stuff. I mean, she's really ride or die, like beyond me. If there's evidence that I've made a bad decision, I'll wind that back. But she, you know, you can dark urge romance her, and she's like, that's cool. We've all done bad stuff. We've all the whole dialogue where like dark urge has to tell her that they were told to kill her and held back, and she's like, we've all done bad stuff. And I'm like, okay, God, I'm not sure I would do that. If I could get away with vigilante justice, I would.
Okay,
obviously, I'd never be wrong.
Would you wear a costume?
No, I'd be 7 foot tall.
Fair.
And people are scared.
On fire.
So I'd be like, I'm friendly, really,
Yeah.
You know, that sort of thing. I'm trying to think. I guess she gives everybody a chance. You know, she doesn't judge a book by its cover until like they give her a reason. And that's very me. I give everyone a chance until they give me a reason to treat them like the dickhead that they are.
Hopefully I don't give you that chance. What?
You're fine. For now.
What for now? What is your favourite scene that you can remember?
I mean, the one that got a lot of attention being the post-Gortash fight, because I knew that was coming. I knew that was really, for me, that secret is the centre of her character. And so everything else she was doing, all the jokes and you know, making herself out to be more stable than she was, that was all covering that up. So once the doors were blown off of that, she doesn't get that closure after he dies, then we could just let rip. And that was really cool. I enjoyed that.
You know this definitely, but Karlach is the most romanced character in the game.
I did not know that.
Statistically,
I feel certain other characters have had a lot of publicity that Karlach hasn't, but thank you very much for that statistic.
Why?
Well done fixing that bug, because everyone was like, I couldn't do it. It was Baldur. I don't know. Maybe they killed the tieflings in the grove because she's not cool with that.
Maybe.
And they do. They do shock Pikachu face, and I'm like, no, it's not like those old games. You see, there's enough memory in games now that the characters will know what you've done and they will judge you for it. It's not Mass Effect anymore. As much as I love Mass Effect, you could just Captain Kirk your way around that.
You
crew.
could punch someone in the face and then they'd talk to you in the next scene.
Yeah. Because it was contained to that scene, but it doesn't work like that.
Doesn't work like that anymore. But they have a memory. Why do you think like players connected with Karlach, other than the things you said about like PTSD and things like that? Why do you think people chose her to be like the romance companion? Not
an edgelord. Because I think with some of the others, like they're very spiky, and they have reason to be, absolutely. But she's desperate to be touched and can't be, right? She's been on her own for 10 years, so she's quite up for it. Everyone's very attractive in this video game, and Pan, which is incredibly convenient for Tav. Yeah, she is sort of buried in dialogue, but she's someone who's never really had a relationship before. She's had a lot of one-night stands, and now because of her condition, meaning she can't be touched, means she has to get to know someone a bit longer this time. She also is not in a situation where she's not over an ex, Gale. She's not. Some of the others are a bit touchy about this. As I said, she's sort of single and ready to mingle.
How do you bring that kind of chemistry to your performance, though, knowing that you have to connect with a unseen player who could have any different belief, any gender, any kind of morality? How do you bring sort of a relatively like neutral performance that's going to connect with all types of different people? Yeah,
it's just going back to that theatre again. If I had to go on stage and talk about the love of my life, that would have to, even if it's not you, or maybe I'd be addressing you. What if I'm addressing the love of my life and that's the audience? Then that's the sort of thing that you would have done before. And it is just that openness and pure love and non-judgment and all of that. And remembering that these are very intimate conversations that you think no one's going to hear, no one's going to write them down, all that sort of thing. And again, just a great team of creatives and engineers to work with to make sure that works.
At what point did you realise that Baldur's Gate was going to be as big as it's become?
Oh my, it's been a series of moments. I think the first being just on a numbers issue when it came out, and I think Sven tweeted something like they were expecting 10,000 concurrent players, but they've got 80,000, something like that. It was like 8 to 10 times bigger. So I had some numbers, and then there was the cosplays, the art, music. Cat cosplay, I must say, was a breakthrough moment, because I went, okay, so they're going to something that's completely unrelated to games, but they expect that cat will be recognised as a character, so that's pretty big.
Were people spray painting their cats red?
Thankfully, no.
Okay, I did not see that.
But no, the little leather, outfit, the little leather belts and that poor things, little glowing heart, and Apernus was never my home. Adorable. But also, they're quite vicious cats.
They are. I have
so
three.
I thought, you know what I mean? No, it's a furry trap.
Yeah.
Friend-shaped, not always friendly.
Yeah,
so
my belly.
I think it quite works for Karlach.
No, well, I suppose, stroke my belly, now I'm going to bite you.
That's right.
I've got a confession to make to you. I accidentally had the bad ending with Karlach,
What's the bad
where
ending?
she burns to death in front of all of them and says, I did my best, while slowly turning into a pile of ash.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know why I
did
did
you ignore
wrong.
her?
I don't think I did.
Did you romance her?
No.
That's why.
Is that why? You have
I think so. I think you have to have a very strong relationship with her. I don't know enough about what's going on behind the scenes, but I think if you're like, say you're romancing Lae'zel and you get that big scene at the end and all that, Karlach's going to burn up on the beer.
Well, I romanced Lae'zel, but then Lae'zel got angry with me because I took too much of the squid juice.
Yeah, they kind of really hate those guys.
Yeah.
Again,
but I could
she
fly.
remembers outside. Yeah, but I think that wasn't enough to impress her.
Those are my choices.
I could fly.
Like Basil.
See, I think Squidlack is the worst ending for Karlach.
Which one's that? I don't know.
If you turn her into a mind flayer.
Oh, you can turn her into a mind flayer.
She's very keen on it. She's like, I'm going to die anyway, so I might as well sacrifice myself because that's her thing. Of course, it's not her in there.
It's time for a replay, I think.
I think so.
Yeah, and this time I will...
also do another bad ending.
Yeah, exactly. I'll make it even worse than I did before.
Where Karlach's going, okay, well, I'm going in. It's epilogues. I'm going in. How do I do Karlach again? How do I do it? Because I've kind of forgotten now. So, there's a bit of that going on.
Congratulations on season 2 of It Takes a Village.
Thank you.
Launching pretty soon, I believe.
Yes. And depending on when this goes out, it might be out already.
This will come out in mid-December?
Oh, it'll be out already. I hope it's good.
Are you releasing it once a week, or what's the schedule?
We're thinking bi-weekly.
Bi-weekly, okay.
Moment. Yeah, just to give everyone enough time to shine. Because it's easy to binge. Although I don't think anyone's going to be binge-watching Village, but someone out there might put it on a playlist and just watch them all. But the idea is it kind of sits with you and you go and look up that person's work and find out about them, or an area of the industry you didn't know about.
Tell me more about the inspiration behind doing it in the first season. I know the first season was recorded from your flat, is that right?
Streamed live on Twitch from my flat. Very stressful.
Okay. Yeah, I bet.
So I was playing Karlach, plays Karlach, that's on YouTube.
Nice.
And then I got affiliated and I went, no, Jeff Bezos, you don't need anyone's money. So we demonetized as much as possible. And with being an introvert, with all that attention on me, I went, why don't I do something I really want to do? And at cons, quite early on, people were giving the actors like way too much credit for these characters. And that's partly to do with who gets to do cons and gets to be in the public eye. But we kept finding ourselves saying, it does take a village, you realise. And people would say, yeah, but you were still amazing. Okay, but without Sarah Bayless's writing, there's no, no, don't be ridiculous. And go, come on, please. So it was really about giving people their flowers, maybe people in the industry that have been around for a while that have never done an interview, which is wild, looking at some people's CVs. Most people I interview have been in over 10 years. Most people it's a second or third career for as well, which is interesting to learn. And so it was a little bit about giving back. And also it's a very horizontal hierarchy from my perspective. There's very few casting directors, very few gatekeepers in this industry, and you need to go, if you're interested in games acting, you kind of need to go to local meetups and meet devs, because it may well be the composer who's casting, or a QA tester who's writing it as well. You just don't know who you'll bump into. And I know that I've set people up for interviews, and they've done the same for me. So it was a way of saying thank you to them as well.
So where can people watch season 2?
It'll be on YouTube.
On YouTube.
We're recording it this time because
okay.
it wasn't the most professional looking thing.
That's what we do.
It certainly was. Getting some help and some real pros to come in and polish it up and make it look good. Because I want it to exist as an archive, really.
Cool. So bi-weekly every Thursday?
I think so, yes.
Cool. Okay.
I've now committed to this.
So now that you've obviously had this high-profile game role, you've got more game roles coming, I believe, which we'll talk about in a minute, hopefully, and you've got your podcast, your streaming work. Do you see yourself as sort of like a hybrid in terms of like content creation, acting, all these different things smushed together?
I think I'm just doing the most with a little bit of power I've got, which is to share it with other people, because when I say it's a collaborative industry, I truly believe that, and I want to make it an easier place to work in. Like, we touched on the fact that we don't really do table reads, we don't really collaborate outside the studio, and in the studio, time is money, so it's not the right time to ask about the character, but that's what you need to do the best performance you can. And I've noticed recently more and more people are, as people come in from different disciplines, to be honest, they bring those practices with them. So I've been on a game where there was a chemistry read as part of the audition process. Or if you happen to know the creative director, they will sit you down for an hour before the session and tell you the whole context and where you fit in. So you're not asking those fundamental but quite basic questions in the room when you haven't got very much time. So I'm starting to see it creep in a little bit more. And I hope what you're doing here on this show is, by showing some of that process, people will be inspired to go, well, it worked on that game. Can we bring it into ours? Especially like something like Fading Echo, where there's no NDA.
Is there not?
There is no NDA.
Do they know that?
Yes.
Are they currently writing one as we speak?
Nope.
Oh, God.
I'm in their Discord.
Oh, great.
I can see everything. It's great.
We do hit a wall sometimes with people when we're trying to ask them. We get how it is. I mean, we work in marketing as well, marketing side of games, and I know, but it does seem a little bit overbearing sometimes when you're sort of stifling opportunities for people. It's
taking me a time to realise what the NDA is for. It's not, here's an NDA, now you can tell me what you're in. It's an NDA to protect themselves from you seeing something in the studio you shouldn't. So I think I visited the Microsoft studio once, a very general visit to see a radio friend, and I had to sign this big NDA going, if you see anything, do not tell anyone, you don't take pictures. And that is kind of what it's like in games. It's not, oh, now you're in, now we can tell you. So you're still in the studio going, okay, what game is this? Can you maybe tell me the genre? That'll help, because something domestic's very different to a space opera in terms of delivery. Do you want to be with an actor who's like whispering because they think it's super contemporary and realistic, when in fact it's something else because someone's told you can't disclose the genre? I think it's madness. It doesn't help anyone. And depending on whether you want to talk about Fading Echo or not, I can go into it, but it seems that I've shared very little that's controversial. It's mainly casting. And I know that the difference between an NDA and a spoiler. Yeah.
I would like to talk about Fading Echo. I know it's something it's a project that you're working on right now. So please tell us more about it.
Yeah, so it's a new studio called New Tales. They're based in Lyon in France. They're mainly former Blizzard devs. Oh, cool. So they know how to make a game, okay? It's a really small team. I think it's around 40 people at the moment. I star in it as one shape shifts into water. So I've got a fiery character, I've got a water character. Okay. I'm working on the other two elements, promise. It's been a weird project, this life.
So you got to be a golem and a wind sprite.
Love it. Yeah. Love it, if you're watching. They shared with me very early on, which helped onboard me, that Matt Mercer's in it and Laura Bailey's in it, and there'll be more people from Critical Role. That's something I'm not allowed to say, but that was a courtesy thing, not an NDA. I don't need to be threatened by legal action. It's wild, isn't it? The music is phenomenal. They've had a play test. They will launch another one before Christmas. I think it's got a lot of good faith from people. It's going to be about 10 to 15 hours long. I should say it's an action adventure RPG, very light RPG, lots of fun, and the idea is it's a very fluid elemental gameplay. So when one is water and she maybe touches lava, she'll turn into steam, she can fly. When she touches waste, she will bounce higher, and there's a lot of puzzle solving with that water form as well. It's lots of fun.
Okay, when's it out?
I don't know.
Don't know. That's we don't know.
So the old answer of a few days ago was before GTA 6 for the love of God.
Well, God.
But it should be, it'll be next year. Because it should be early-ish.
She chose November next year now, isn't it?
November 19th. Or is it?
Well, especially working in the marketing side of things, everyone's just holding their breath, and then it moves, and everyone goes,
oh my God, someone will actually play my game.
The pain is still coming. It's just coming later because no one is going to spend money on any game.
And mainstream press will cover it to death and probably do the same old scaremongering they did last time a GTA game was out. So, there is just that, wall-to-wall coverage. I'll be playing it. I'll be doing nothing else. So I'm guilty of it too. Yeah. I know.
We all will be sitting at home in our pants just playing it. Hopefully Trevor's in it. But so Fading Echo, what platform is it, or platforms?
I think it's on. It's going to be on
every
everything.
Platform. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
One of your projects. I'm going to pronounce this wrong. Absolum.
Absolum. Yeah.
Fantastic. I nailed it. Tell us about Absolum.
So another French studio, or a series of three, which is Dotemu, God Crush, and Super Monks. And they're the team that made, everything's gone out of my brain. Side-scroller game. Let's play a game. Side-scrolling beta. Streets of Rage 4. Got it.
I feel like you've read it in my eyes. It was on the tip of my tongue.
You've said it so many times. Streets of Rage 4. So if you like a side scroll and beat 'em up, great. But this is more traditional fantasy, so it looks more like Golden Axe, I suppose, but with all the modern stuff.
Love Golden Axe.
Mick Gordon's done a track for it. It's very metal. It's really cool.
Cool.
And there are 4 playable characters, of which I play one, Cider, who is a roguish character with a telescopic arm.
Nice.
Kind of a cyborg character.
Mr. Fantastic kind of thing, but
exactly like that.
Inspector
But
Gadget.
more violent. Inspector Gadget, a bit more violent. Yeah, but what's different about this, and normally in a beat 'em up, you don't get much spoken narrative. You might get a wall of text at the beginning that
or like,
you completely disregard, like, you know, and most of them. But for this time, they wanted us to perform those, so that's that was really cool.
So if you could give one message to players who love Karlach, what would it be? One thing you hope that they have taken from your performance or from the story?
Oh my, it doesn't feel like my place to do that, if that makes sense. I've talked about like how I feel she's impacted people, but there's never, I just want her to be good. I just want it to have affected you, and I think she's far surpassed my expectations. But yeah, thank you for reaching out and coming to cons and having those conversations with me, because you know, we were alone in a black room recording this, and we're just lucky that it was so big that I would say most of the actors in that game know they're in that game, but I think in a lot of other cases they just don't, and there's something very fulfilling knowing that mattered to somebody.
Speaking of fans, have you had any sort of funny or strange experiences with fans?
A few. The problem is when I tell stories like this, people identify themselves in the comments and then claim they're being bullied.
Right, okay.
So I have to be super careful with what I say. But I'm going to say it anyway.
Say it anyway.
I was brought up on Eurotrash.
Exactly.
Nothing can shock me. It's really cute when
and
they find out.
TV, that was the other one.
Right? And so, Tarrant TV wasn't as hardcore as Eurotrash.
It wasn't as hardcore. Eurotrash was a lot
something
harder,
else, yeah. And like, we know about AO3 and people are like clutching pearls. We're not making lists of your usernames. We don't care. We just know it exists, and that's fine. But I was at a con, and again, these landmarks, right? These moments when you realise it's huge. I was waiting for the body pillow.
Okay.
And a man came along with the body pillow, which wasn't, you know, it was recognisably Karlach, but it didn't look like Karlach from the game.
Is it one that he had sort of doctored himself from an anime character?
So I asked him, I was like, where do I want this? And he said, oh, no, I commissioned it. And that's where I should have stopped.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
Commission.
Because it's me. Yeah, I commissioned it. So I'm signing it, and I sign on a blank corner. I said, well, I'll sign it because you don't want to rub it off. And he went, oh, no, I've got a separate one for that.
Oh, my God.
And I just kept a straight face and was like, Sam, for the love of God, why did you have to see me? So now I've got in my head that version is like framed, pride of place, family are like, that's really cool.
Sits
that
at the dinner table with him.
Yeah, it's at the dinner table. Yeah. And then like in the basement.
It's a laminated one, yeah.
Is something laminated in a different way.
Oh, God.
I feel you went there.
I
went with you. I can't say, I can't. Yes, and all of this stuff. So that was hilarious. But brilliant. I need to stop myself sometimes.
Yeah, in future, just let them have it, yeah. Do you think that, this is a more general question, and I'm going to get to a question left to you by our previous guest, David Menkin. So, do you think that games as a medium are sort of leading the way or lagging behind other storytelling forms?
Oh, no, they're leading the way in the way that it seems that every game is now being adapted into a TV show, which is really interesting, isn't it? Because what you've got is, mass media, let's count TV and film in that, aren't particularly interested in covering games outside of Fortnite, GTA, Call of Duty. There's very specific kinds of games which they think are played by specific kinds of people. And yet, what's getting commissioned is, The Witcher and... all of that, to do The Last of Us, varying degrees of success. But that's interesting that there's a wish to do that. So I think, yes, they are leading the way, but maybe the people who are adapting something interactive into a more passive form are missing the point. Whereas I think Last of Us works because that's I want to say it's on rails, but there is a very defined story.
Season 1 was definitely on rails.
Yeah. And what I loved was people coming out there going, yeah, well, what's the game like? It's exactly the same. I'd say it's a bit better, but because you get to interact with it, and that's an interesting perspective. I hope it gets people interested in the games, or in the case of The Witcher, the books as well. But I don't know. I'd be really interested to see the data on that, because I don't mind a book adaptation as long as people are interested in reading the book or something, and just seeing that original source where it came from. Because again, like games, in books, these characters look completely different. In every reader's head, so even the idea of that, I'm still coming round to the idea of maybe adapting a very long book for TV.
It's interesting because I, like with The Witcher in particular, I've obviously played the games, so I know Doug's voice. Doug is always Geralt to me.
He is to me, and I think a lot of players who've watched it, he's always going to be As he should be.
As he should be. But then you play, if you listen to the audiobooks, he's Scottish, which is odd. Not Doug. Geralt is Scottish, different actor. Yeah. And then if you read the books cold, I doubt you would have given him an American accent. So it's interesting, the way different interpretations of the character.
Yeah, and I think that'll happen with Baldur's Gate eventually. I think other people will be playing us and are just got to get over that quite quickly. In the way that Batman and Superman and all are played by different actors, and that's okay.
Yeah. Did you ever play Baldur's Gate 1 or 2?
I did not.
No.
It was a little bit too hardcore for my young brother. I was playing Zelda, Ocarina of Time, or Mario Kart, or GoldenEye, all on the not GameCube, the N64.
N64, the classic. So, I did try to play. I've tried many, many times to play Baldur's Gate 1, but I think it's too dated for me now. That's going to piss off a lot of people in the comments. But
that's going to piss off the 5 dads.
Yeah, they're going to be like, bastard, unsubscribe. Don't unsubscribe, please. You should subscribe to both this show and also It Takes a Village.
I'm loving this. Thank you.
Loving
this for us.
I've got a question for you from our previous guest, the wonderful David Menkin.
So he's on Village, by the way.
He is on Village. We can watch him on that as well, every other Thursday. He has asked, how do you stay true to yourself in an industry where your job is to put the needs and requirements of others in front of you?
I think you should probably love collaboration. I wouldn't say it's my job to put other people's needs and requirements in front of me. I'd say it's a good place to explore boundaries. He gave some great advice on Village about that, because I asked him, how do you advocate for yourself? So I think he's asking you the same question.
Sneaky.
But, yeah, sneaky, but he's a lot better at answering it than he really is, that Menkin. You got to watch him. But it is about, I think the actor wants to please a lot of the time, and that can mean that even me, with my very famously strong boundaries, I might not notice that the voice is starting to go because I haven't had a break. Mm-hmm. And so a good director is going to be watching out for that and go, Sam, take a damn break. And I'm going, fine. Is it that bad? It is that collaboration, that respect. And that's why it's a good idea for us to get to know each other. Even if it is, first thing I'll do is I'll talk to the engineer, make sure they know I'm a very loud person, because I'll go, ride the gain, and they don't. And then you look and their ears are bleeding. You go, it clicked, didn't you? I've got to do it again.
Literally just said.
Just said. Loud person. But yeah, just that camaraderie in the room, you kind of have to do that very quickly. It's normally the role of the director, is to create that chemistry. But if we all know what each other is doing and we respect each other, then you can't really go wrong. And I've had some wonderful experiences on games because of that. But I think performers coming in maybe from other disciplines who don't even maybe do audio, let alone they've done film and TV and theatre, but if they're just doing audio, sometimes that wish to please is at their own expense. You got to be a bit careful. And sometimes it's just going in and saying, look, can we do the shouty bits last? And then hopefully a director will go, okay, well, we'll do like some simple barks, not shouty, but commands, just to get into that voice. And then we'll do some really big cinematic stuff to get you into it. And then we'll save all the yelling and dying and screaming for last. There is a way to do it. But very little of this is documented and written down. There's very few best practice guides or anything out there. So the actors are having to sort of pass that amongst themselves.
So if you could change one thing in the industry other than the NDAs.
Damn it.
Cool. I'll cut you off for the pass. If you could change one thing about the industry, what do you think it would be?
Let's get to know each other before we go in the studio.
Mm-hmm. So things like table read.
Table read, or there was Fading Echo was so sweet. Devs came from, creative directors came from Lyon, and they took me and my agent out to lunch. And in my head, it was a straight offer, and they said critical role of doing it. I'm in. You don't need, would you like a leading role? You don't have to audition or anything. Oh, and here's everything. Here's all our plans. Like there was ever going to be any doubt in my mind. This is unusual. People think this is how it works. It's not. And, took us out to lunch, and I was able to take them to a nice members bar in London where we did start looking at what it actually looks like. And I was so in 2 weeks before. So, yes, could you wine and dine us more? That would be really nice. Right. But just literally just hang out socially so we know each other and we're not just meeting each other. If the game is lucky enough to get awards, sometimes that's the only time you've met your writer or the creative team, and I think that's a real shame. I think
it's interesting because it's almost like a what's the word? Not like a meme, but like a trope in the movie industry that all the business is done at lunch.
Yeah.
So like you are meeting people outside of the casting room, or
you are and you are not working at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah. So
but you get to, you both get an idea of what that person is like, because you're gonna, it goes beyond the actual recording time. You're gonna have to work with them for a while. It could be years, and then the marketing stuff, if you're lucky enough to be included in that. But yeah, you should, and you should like the people. It goes both ways. They should be sussing me out, see if they want me to carry something that could, if it's successful, it's going to go on for a while. So they need to suss me out too. I get it, but I also need to suss them out. So it works very nicely. And I guess sometimes studios can give themselves the time to do that. Or I guess my personal idea about this is that they've come in from tech. So everyone kind of gets plugged into the system, and the human sometimes is forgotten, whereas in it can go the other way. In film and TV and theatre, it goes a bit too much the other way, where it's all personality or connections and whatever, and not just
now they're doing social media reach, aren't they?
They have been for a while. It's the only reason I'm on social media is because that'll be used against me if I don't have X number of followers. It doesn't matter. I see it with very well-known young theatre actors who don't get beyond that, because that'll be used against them because they're not playing social media, which is wild.
It is wild. Samantha, thank you so much for joining us on The Sofa. That's all we've got time for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. See you on the next one.